Alrighty, so this is a video I've been needing to get to. So as you can see from the title, I finally watched Breaking Bad, and obviously I've known about Breaking Bad. I know it's a very popular, pop culture thing. Growing up, we didn't have cable. Maybe we did for like a couple months, if that. You know, toward my end of my high school year. But it was always just local television, CW, Channel 34, 43, stuff like that, 25. So there's a lot of like cable shows I never got to watch. And after high school, there was a point where I had Netflix or whatever that Breaking Bad is on, and I think I watched maybe 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, this ain't the show for me. I can't do this. And everyone kept going like, "Oh, you just got you get through the first season, man. Like it gets good." And I just really hate that kind of argument because I shouldn't have to watch an entire season and waste my time to then, oh, let me get to the good part now. And it's like with Game of Thrones, people are like, "Oh, you just gotta get through." Like, no, like you should be able to have a good first episode or a good first couple episodes to really pull me in and make me want to watch the rest, which like the new Penguin show has done perfectly. The very first episode, there is no filler, no nothing. It puts you right in the action, and I'm like, okay, I want to see more. So with that being said, it's been a long time, and my wife had spoken so highly of Breaking Bad, like, oh, I watched it, it's great. I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a chance. So basically, while we were waiting for each episode of Rings of Power to come out, we were watching this, and having rewatched it, um, maybe I was a little haste to not give it a chance years ago. Um, it's definitely, I would say, a few episodes in, you kind of, a little bit after that, you're definitely kind of in, and especially by the end of the first season, like, whoa, okay. The show does do a lot of let's show something that's you'll see at the end of the season, and it's kind of annoying because season 2 or 3, when it does it, you're like, oh, what is it? But it's something that kind of affects the characters in a sense, but more on a deeper level, and it was more of just a fake out. But Breaking Bad, obviously, spoilers, is about a chemistry teacher, Walter White, who gets a cancer diagnosis, and so he's upset at the feeling that he's going to die without leaving anything for his family. So he contacts an old student of his to make meth, and they in turn actually create the most purest meth ever invented, which causes them to be more pulled into the realm of drug marketing or the underworld. And as everyone knows now, obviously, Bryan Cranston's acting is amazing. He does a very good job to a certain point. I don't like season 5, honestly, really. There's only a couple things I like with season 5, but he was so good at portraying like really serious, like sad, and then they were just like, on a whim, season 5, he's just full blown, you know, head of the not cartel, but like drug ring, and he's the psycho, and you're like, that really just came out of nowhere. But yeah, I'm not gonna go through every season or anything, just kind of talking about it continuously, but really seasons 1, there's 5 seasons. Seasons 1 through 4, great. Realistically, at the end of season 4, if they would have added maybe 1 or 2 closing episodes, you could have actually ended it there. Instead, you get season 5, which in my opinion fucking sucks. And it's just all season 5 feels like 2 or 3 separate seasons combined into one, because they sit there and they're like, oh, well, we didn't want to keep dragging it out. 5 seasons done. But then it's like they ran out of ideas on how to close it. So they're like, let's do the beginning half where Walter is just the biggest crazy asshole villain now. And you're telling me there's no more bad guys? Like, what, the cartel's just destroyed all over the world? Like, come on, man. and just because you killed Gus Fring, that there's no one else, and he's just like, like doesn't even really have an empire or anything. And I was like, okay. And then, there's like the arc of him going on the run and Hank getting killed, and it just feels like so many, like there's the like him, yeah, acting like a crime lord, and then there's like the him and Hank drama, and then Hank dies, and then he goes on the run, and there's that drama, and then there's the quickly he comes back to save Jesse and kill the neo-Nazis. And I was like, it's like they were like, we don't really know what to do, so let's just jumble a bunch of shit. And to me, it just felt very unstructured and very just all over the place. But before that, they introduced Gus Fring. I was like, this is a great villain. I wouldn't say he reminds me of like Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2 fully, but it gave me that aspect of Gus was so good at being fake nice, but it was actually a psycho. And the actor, God, I can't remember his name, but Giancarlo Espo something. God, he is scary as Gus because he's also so calm. And even, to some degree, I both say that there isn't enough character development, and there is, like, for Walter's character, obviously there's development. I wouldn't necessarily say growth, but, like, there's a scene, I think in season 5, with him and Walt Jr., where he's all beat up, Walter, and he's crying, and he's telling his son, like, you shouldn't see me like this. And his son is like, actually, I want to see this because this is the real you, not you being a fake ass, acting all hard piece of shit. And I was like, oh, the dialogue here and the scene is so well done. Why is this like one of only like 3 scenes in the entire series of this? Like, I'm just shocked that in 5 seasons we didn't get more deep emotional conversations between Walt Jr. and Walt. It just kind of shook me. And and Skyler's character, like laundering the like money, the meth money, and like they're like opening up a business, and then by the next season she's all of a sudden kind of like like I don't know. I've never obviously been in a situation like that, so maybe I don't know how people would act, but it's interesting how she's like, yes, I'll help you launder this money, and then just full blown is like, I can't do this, and then she's like, I can't go to the police, and I'm like, I feel like you could. I don't know how it works, obviously, in real life, but I feel like you could definitely spin up, like, I want witness protection for me and my kids if I testify against my husband, whatever, who's a drug kingpin. Because they kept acting like that's not possible. But, there's a lot of things in the show that feel so fiction that I was like, dang. Like, it starts out feeling relatively grounded, but then there is so many things where you're like, oh, like, there's no way they didn't get caught except by like happen chance. But yeah, the show is a little bit more on the fictional side, but it has such great characters, great acting. There's the Mike character, Hank. I mean, like, I would say almost my favorite character is Hank, where he just seems so relatable, where it's this guy who always wants to be the funny guy, whatever, but by the end of the show he's so serious. And when he basically realizes Walter is Heisenberg, it's like so tense. It's definitely, I can understand why a show like this is a cult classic. It has very good memeable moments, very good just classic moments. Good enough of a show that they grabbed Saul Goodman and made his own show, and even a sequel movie, El Camino, for Jesse Pinkman, because in my opinion, Aaron Paul does a good job with Jesse, and for the most part, you feel extremely bad for Jesse. Dude cannot catch a break. He's not allowed to be happy, and it's really actually Walter who is creating these problems for Jesse. And you can, kind of see the father-son relationship. I wish they would have gone more into that. I just feel like they almost do, but don't. The again, I just feel like the best parts were like when they're first dealing with Tuco, and then the crazy twins, and then Gus, and just like that kind of story arc. I felt like was really good, and even watching season 4 towards the end, uh, when he kills Gus and how they're playing it out, you're almost like, wow, this. Like I looked at my wife, I'm like, is this not the ending? Like, what are they doing after this? Because I kept going, oh man, one more episode after this, you could have just been done. Walter could have quit. Um, I get the, oh, we made it so you really hate him. He's a villain. But it doesn't feel earned, and it doesn't really make sense to me. Because, yes, by the end of season 4, you find out that he was willing to half-ass poison a child to get Jesse back, which is crazy. But you can tell he was erratic, somewhat remorseful, and just kind of like, all over the place. And then you cut to season 5, and he's just this psycho, like, I'll murder everyone, like, I'm Mr. Evil, I'm, Gus, and it's like, where is this coming from? What felt like what you had to do horrible things for necessity in your mind, now you're just evil man, I'm bad, I'm comically evil man, and I just felt like it just kind of came out of nowhere. Wasn't a fan. The M60 machine gun killing the skinheads, that was pretty dope. It's so funny that Breaking Bad could have just ended if Walter would have taken the money from his rich buddies that I guess screwed him over on the business side. But then we wouldn't have a show. There's so many instances where it's also like Skyler is like, I don't know where you're going. I don't know what you're doing. And it's crazy because I kept looking at my wife. I'm like, bro, the first time I did that, you would immediately be calling me out. Like, there would be no, like, tipping your toes around. It'd be immediately like, no, actually, what the fuck are you doing? Or I'm going to follow you or whatever, because this is weird. Because it's a homie's like working his job and then cooking meth all night. And it's like, yeah, I feel like very quickly you'd be following your husband. Like, what is he doing? But, I'm not here to sit here and nitpick everything. It is a fictional show. But, it's an interesting show. Maybe people feel different about season 5. I just, to me it's just so stupid. I wouldn't say it's as bad as a Game of Thrones season 8, but I kept watching it, just getting really aggravated. Like, I feel like they're just destroying every developed character and just souring the finale. And I'll watch El Camino and see how, what it brings. But I was kind of disappointed that the end is so like, it's just like, I guess he saves Jesse. I don't really know why, because he is the one who sentenced Jesse to die. But it felt like a good enough ending, I guess. Because people also were like, is Walter dead? He's dead. Homie's dead. There's no playing that. But when I think like, would I recommend this show? I would say yes. I think my wife and I were able to watch all 5 seasons in 3 weeks or like 2 weeks. I can't imagine when this was first coming out if I had to wait every fucking week for an episode, because some of the episodes feel like nothing happens in them. Oof. Or by the end, it really gets like, cliffhanger ending per episode. But, great acting. I don't really remember like a soundtrack besides like music, like songs. Cinematography is pretty awesome, except they overplay the fuck out of this one shot. If you were to play a drinking game where every time in Breaking Bad they did a shot where it's from below something that somebody is pouring something into or looking down into, you'd probably die, because they do it so much. I was like, okay, it's cool the first few times, but you're overplaying it now where it's like, is it a meme? Is it a joke? If you're going to do cool transitions, do cool transitions. Don't just keep reusing the same transition. But Yeah, I would recommend it. I think it's a pretty interesting show. The characters are great. Again, like I said, season 5 kind of meh. I've heard Better Call Saul is really good. Everyone says it's better than Breaking Bad, so I'll be watching that after October, after my movie marathon. So I'll be very curious to come back and let you know my thoughts on that. But until next time, that is going to be it. I'm out.